just broke everything. Aha. Lighting. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This is going to be something very different and hopefully the start of a series that will go on and on until my goal is achieved. I will be watching every single Best Picture winner at every single Oscar award, Academy Award, whatever. See, I found myself looking through what all the Best Pictures were, and I saw that lots of these films I've never even heard of. So to me, I don't really think winning a Best Picture award in the long run solidifies you as a classic. After all, you think of what some of the biggest classics of all cinema are, like Singing in the Rain and Citizen Kane. Sounds very similar there. Those two films were never nominated, despite changing film forever. I'm going to do it decade by decade, starting with the 20s, of which only 2 films in the 20s have won an Oscar, given that the first one was held in 1929. I'll be talking a bit about the year's Oscar awards in general, and then the second half will be about the film, as well as sometimes, when necessary, a recap of how important for film that year was. So without further ado, I'm going to get onto the first Oscar awards, the first of 94. It's going to be a long challenge. So the reason the Oscars were really invented was because of a man named Louis B. Mayer. He was basically the kind of head of film, and he wanted to unite the 5 branches of film, which at the time were actors, directors, producers, writers, and technicians. In his words, he says, "I found that the best way to handle filmmakers was to hang medals all over them. I got them cups and awards that kill themselves to produce what I wanted." That's why the Academy Awards was created. And it's funny that such a beloved and prestigious award had such a cynical beginning. The nominees for this Oscars were notified by telegram, and they were announced in February of 1929. See, the awards, despite being in 1929, honoured the best films from the 1st of August in 1927 to the 31st of July 1938. Eventually, the awards were held on May 16th, 1929, hosted by Douglas Fairbanks in the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel in Los Angeles. Now, here's the weird thing and the biggest thing that's changed about the Oscars. One of the fundamental things about it is the suspense of not knowing who will win. Hell, that's exactly what drives it. I can't remember who said this quote, but someone said that if you get nominated for an Oscar, you're hot shit for a couple of months. If you win an Oscar, you're hot shit until the next year. However, in this, it wasn't like that at all. People were nominated in February, but 3 months before the award show, everyone found out who won before the event even happened, which is so odd to think that's how it started. This is the only award show that was not broadcasted in any way, radio or television. It's a very private kind of upper class event. A dinner of 270 people. It costs $5 to get in, which is about $79 nowadays, which is mad because to go to the Oscars now is about £750. The event lasted for a mere 15 minutes. As for the awards, the titles have changed a lot over the years. There are ones such as Best Engineering that have been scrapped, as well as one called Best Unique Film, I think. The honorary awards have always been there, and the first people, well, I say people, to win the awards were Charlie Chaplin for The Circus, and Warner Brothers as a whole for producing The Jazz Singer, which is obviously the first film to use sound. Anyway, without further ado, the winner of the 1929 Academy Awards is La La Land.
La La Land has 14 Oscar nominations this year and is tied for the most nominations.
Okay, I'm not going to do that joke for every single one, but of course I will do it for when Moonlight wins, of course.
This is not a joke. Moonlight has won Best Picture.
The winner of the first Academy Awards was Wings, a film that I've heard about for a while and I've always wanted to watch. I rented it on YouTube for £2.30 and what a worthy purchase. Wings is an anti-war film that tells the story of a love square? Rectangle? A love quadrilateral between 2 men who love one woman and another woman who loves one of the 2 men. However, the most convincing and powerful romance in the entire thing is between the 2 men, really. They form such a tight bond through their military training that goes from hate to love, resulting in one of the most tragic ending scenes that will really have you near tears. Wings is the first of 2 silent films to ever win Best Motion... What's the award called again? This is because the award show was invented so late in the 20s that by the 30s everything was in sound. The next silent film would take about 90 years to come, and it's quite amazing that the second silent film to win was a very modern one. I'm quite experienced with silent films. I've always appreciated them, and I've seen quite a few, but they're mainly Buster Keaton comedies, and even the more serious ones I've seen have been a lot more physical acting and visual, a bit like a ballet sort of story, you know, where everything's done through expression rather than words. However, this film does have a lot more talky scenes, and in those scenes I never miss the use of sound. In fact, I even think if it had sound, then it would have fallen into more generic dialogue, as the scenes would invoke that. They are quite done before, but due to it being silent and having only a few title cards come up, you can really see the physical acting shine through, as the two men's gestures suggest all you need to know about their emotional state and their dynamic, and I just thought it was so brilliant. As for the war scenes, there's a lot of dogfighting in this. After all, it is called Wings, and it does look very impressive for a while, but does tail on a bit. There was an interesting use of colour in this, despite this film being black and white. When American planes would be shot down or bullets would be fired, they'd be coloured in yellow. And this felt really, really odd to me, because although the smoke coming from the engines with the yellow felt quite hand-drawn and a little bit cartoonish, it also made it more real. In the remastering of this film, the sound effects were done by Ben Burtt, who anyone who's ever seen any Star Wars documentary will recognise him as a sound designer for, well, Star Wars. And I do think having sound effects and not just music in this really helps with the realism of it, not distancing the idea of war, which is a very dangerous thing to do. As for how this film presents war, I think it does a good job, especially for a film in 1929. Lots of old films I've seen are very propaganda driven. They show war as something heroic, as this journey. And for the first half of this, I was rolling my eyes a bit, thinking that's exactly what this film is doing. However, with the characters experiencing great loss of loved ones, with real heartfelt and visceral scenes, I think it's really effective at showing the pointlessness of war. Other than that really awkward victory title card that comes at the end. I had seen before on YouTube as well a video that said the first same-sex kiss on screen, and the film was Wings. It's not exactly a romantic kiss, but it is on the lips, and you know, progressive, well done. The film was directed by William A. Wellham and Harry D. Abedi D. Elast, and it was extremely well directed. There were so many moments and so many shots where you can tell they were sitting behind the camera and going, how can we pull this off? I won't go far to say every frame's a painting necessarily, but in every scene there's always an amazing and elaborate shot that keeps you on your toes and shows them they're putting a lot of effort into it. They're not just doing the bare minimum, which is more than I can say for the next film in this list. One thing I think this film does get wrong is that it does slightly dehumanize the Germans in it, which can be seen a bit as American propaganda. For example, and I may be reading too much into this, but the use of the yellow with the smoke is only used on American planes and not on German planes. And I think that's to make it seem more real when the Americans die and show the Germans as kind of cannon fodder. Maybe I probably am reading too much into that. I think the romance between Mary and Jack is brilliant. When he goes off to war and she is still trying to win his affection, she gets a job driving an ambulance. And there's a scene earlier on where they make this car and call it the Shooting Star. Later on, when she's in her ambulance and she goes to a site of a dogfight where Jack is up there with David and fighting. Jack and David are the two main guys, by the way. Somebody says, don't you know that Shooting Star up there? And although there's obviously no audio, you can see her shout, Jack. And I think it's just a really cute moment. Especially as later on when he sees her again for the first time, you can see him also mouth Mary. So it's just, I think it's a really cute romance, and it really works very effectively. And used as kind of a fable in the context of war, works to express that pain and loss that is felt in every single war, especially World War One. Overall, I think it's just fantastic. Is this film deserving an Oscar? Absolutely. But this Oscars awarded films on the 1st of August in 1927 to the 31st of July 1928. And there were two films released in between them that definitely should have won, more than Wings. They're called The Passion of Joan of Arc and Metropolis. You've most likely heard of both of them. The reason they didn't win is because they are French and German respectively. And you've got another 90 odd years until foreign films start winning Best Picture, very sadly. The first Academy Awards was a huge success, very popular, despite never being broadcasted. But this second one would be the first two. All over radio, it would be broadcasted. And they made a key change that defines the Oscars now. The winners were not announced beforehand. And this is truly what makes the Oscars amazing. I don't know, what kind of award show it was, just giving them the medal, not actually having that suspense. The amount of awards went from 12 to 7, whereas now I don't even know how many. No honorary awards were given out. I think that might be the only year in all of the 94 where there were no honorary awards at all. And it's one of, I think, 3 cases where the winner of Best Picture didn't win any other awards at all. And that's because the winner of Best Picture was the ever disappointing Broadway Melody. I had a really tough time trying to find this film. I couldn't rent it on YouTube like with Wings. The only way possible I could watch it was by buying it for £10. Not even a Blu-ray, a DVD. Look, and what a waste of money. Please can you not make it a waste and watch this video, like it, subscribe, share it, whatever. So this money won't be wasted because this film is not great. The story in my eyes is like an epilogue to the film Chicago, which would win an Oscar 80 years after this film. I literally just finished watching it and I'm gonna try and explain it, but to be honest, it's already gone out my head, so I'm glad I took notes. About 2 women called Queenie and Hank, which I had no idea was a girl's name before. They are 2 performers who want to perform on stage and get their break when some man whose name I forgot is opening a review, not review like a review of a film, where REVUE, which is kind of like a show, I don't really know, and using his number, the Broadway Melody. The really odd thing about this is that Queenie and Hank are just not very good performers. Their dances are basic, they do them out of time, and they can't really sing. I don't know if this was some sort of comedic decision that, you know, their dreams are so big, but they're actually not very good. If it was, then it didn't work because I didn't find that funny. It has a love story in it somewhere, and it is very, very boring. I feel no chemistry between Queenie and I don't even know his name. And it's honestly not down to the acting. I thought the acting was pretty good. I think it was just down to the poor direction and poor writing that, despite their fantastic and maybe even Oscar-worthy delivery of the lines, was stubbed by giving them nothing important to say. There were times where people were screaming that they wanted to kill each other, and I had no idea why. A piece of dialogue like this can just showcase that perfectly.
Well, you're yellow, do you hear me? You're yellow! I'm yellow! Are you sure? You're yellow! You're yellow! You're not yellow! You're white!
The director did the absolute bare minimum and didn't try to put any effort into making anything look exciting at all. And again, the writing is just so bad. As for the music, I didn't think it was all too bad. The review on the back of this says the spectacular launch of the movie musical, a 40-carat stunner of a score. More like a 15-carat maybe not a 10-carat. The title song, called the Broadway Melody, is okay. It's got nice lyrics, it's got a nice melody, but it's pretty unoriginal, and honestly I think lots of people could write much better for this film. Also, it's done a much better version on the much superior Singing in the Rain, which never won Best Picture, and I don't know how. The song The Broadway Melody is shown multiple times throughout the film in different contexts and versions, a bit like with my favourite musical of all time, Phantom of the Paradise, how it takes the song Faust and shows the pop version and the heavy metal version. However, this film is nowhere near as good.
I was not myself last night.
I was not myself last night. I was not myself last night.
Due to this film not being on Spotify, I couldn't actually find the one song I really liked on it, which has this lovely harmony and quite a dark tone to it, but not too much that it's depressing. And there's also this song called The Wedding of the Painted Doll, which is not at all dull.
Here's the preacher man, oh look, as he takes his little book. He is sure he knows his stuff, 'cause he's done it often enough.
It's definitely the best case of directing in this otherwise bland film. And even that, it's nothing groundbreaking. But the song is nice. And that's immediately followed by a song called The Boyfriend, done by Queenie and Hank. And it further demonstrates that they are just not good performers. There's like a tap dance solo and it's so unimpressive, it's unreal. Overall, it's hardly a controversial stance to say that this film is shit. After all, it is the lowest rated Best Picture winner on all of Letterboxd. And I'm sure there are going to be worse ones than this. In fact, I take it back. I wouldn't say it's shit. I say there's some things to like. I think it does have a decent story, just a terrible direction, so that none of it has any sort of landing with the audience at all. And also, and I know this isn't really a merit on the film, I can see its influence throughout movie musical history, given that it is one of the first, not the first, that's The Jazz Singer. After all, it did have 3, I think, remakes, one in 1936, one in 1938, and one in 1940, which is a very tight-knit group of remakes. But was it worthy of an Oscar? Absolutely not. So that is all of the 20s, only 2 films. I'll see you next in 10 films time when I'm done with the 30s, which I hope will be a vast improvement from this 1929 car crash of a film. However, Wings is a real hidden gem, and it says something that I'm saying is a hidden gem, but it won the Oscar for Best Picture, that the award doesn't make you a classic. It really doesn't. So hopefully I'll continue to evaluate whether these films are actually worthy of the awards or if they're any good at all. And I'm sure most of them will be. So join me on that journey by subscribing, pressing the notification bell, whatever, and just keeping up to date with these videos, as well as liking. Apparently that's important, I don't know why. There's a stereotype that gay people really like the Oscars. I can see why, because so far they've been very gay films, having the first on-screen gay kiss to a very camp musical. Although I'm sure a lot of that stereotype can again be chalked up to Chicago.
The spread eagle.
Before you head off, this is editing Adam, who's very, very different from filming Adam. See, filming Adam made a big mistake and forgot to plug his Letterboxd. What an idiot. So if you want to hear my extended and more organised thoughts on the 2 films, as well as previews on the upcoming Oscar winners, as well as all the other films that I've seen, then don't be an idiot like filming Adam. Go there and check out my Letterboxd. Well, with a D at the end, not my actual letterbox. That's really, really creepy.